just wanted to first start out by saying thank you for having us. Thank you for having my wife Megan and our kids Ethan and Emily out to this beautiful place. This is something we don't get to do all the time, so this is when I heard about this opportunity, I mean, you know, there's no way I was going to say no to it. Schedule worked out perfect, and we got out here. So thank you for having us. We really appreciate it. A little bit about myself. I've been in the Coast Guard now for 14 years this week. I started my career on the Coast Guard cutter Sea Otter. It's in Portsmouth, Virginia. It's a 270-foot ship. I spent 3 years on there. I went down to primarily down into the Caribbean, did a lot of work down in the Caribbean. 2 months at sea, back home for 2 months, 2 months at sea. That's what I did for 3 years. Following that, all the law enforcement training, everything I had, it was time for me to transfer. I had got an opportunity to serve in a new program overseas called Patrol Forces Southwest Asia. It was in support of the Iraq War, Operation Iraqi Freedom. So in 2006, I went with a group of 17 people. We went and trained for 3 months, and then we deployed over to Iraq for a 12-month period. We spent that year up in the northern Arabian Gulf. We patrolled around. There was 2 oil platforms off the coast of Iraq that supported Iraq with the majority of their economy. You know, as those ships come in and take all the oil and fill up, you know, that's producing revenue for that country. So they needed help. They needed security. Not a lot of people know, but the Coast Guard's over there. We're over there. Pretty large force for the Coast Guard numbers at least. There's 6 ships over there still today, including the one I was on, and then there's a large shoreside complement of people between there and Saudi Arabia. So I got to be a part of that between 2006, 2007. In 2008, leaving overseas, the detailer called me and said, look, you've been back-to-back ships, you've been to sea for a long time, it's time for you to go to shore and figure out how the search and rescue game works, law enforcement search and rescue. So I got the opportunity to go to North Carolina, Wrightsville Beach. If anyone's ever been there, it's just south of the Outer Banks by Wilmington. Just got hit by the big hurricane, so I have a lot of friends there recovering from that. And I got the opportunity to drive the 47-foot heavy weather boats. If anyone's seen those big Coast Guard boats, I can roll over in the surf and go out and make the rescues. I worked on those for 4 years while I was in Wrightsville Beach. Had a great time there. Wrightsville Beach was a big point in my life. Got married to my beautiful wife Megan there. We had our first child, Ethan. It was great. Wrightsville Beach was, you know, a place I will never forget. From there, my wife and I wanted to get back closer to home. We're both from Illinois, so we were fortunate enough to get to the Great Lakes. I took another station as the operations officer. When I left Wrightsville Beach, I had made first class, and I took an operations officer job on Lake Michigan, on the west side of Michigan, and I was at it was a hybrid station, so we did search and rescue, but we were also in charge of all the aids and navigation on the west side of Michigan. So all the buoys, all the lighthouses, all the fixed aids, floating aids, that's what we worked on. So we had a search and rescue boat there at the station. We also had 2 aids and navigation boats that we used to work on all those buoys up and down, keeping those ports open, keeping all the commerce going in and out of all those ports in Michigan. From there, I got the opportunity to come out here to sunny California, southern California here, and I got to take the executive officer job on the Coast Guard cutter Sea Otter, which is where I am now. I've been there for 3 years this December, and it's been a fantastic tour. I've got the opportunity to meet so many great people and really work with all different agencies and all different branches. You know, San Diego, as you know, is a large, you know, one of the largest military cities in the country. So being in the Coast Guard, a lot of the times we're stationed in places where there's not other military. We're it. So we don't really get the benefit of seeing what's out there military benefit-wise and getting to connect with other people in other branches and really build those relationships, especially from a family side of things. You know, it's tough being in the military. I know it's tough for the family, but when you get to a great place like San Diego where there's so much support, there's so many different families going through what you go through, knowing what you go through, and, you know, kind of being able to build that relationship has made San Diego special for us. So we're due to transfer in the summer of 2019. We just found out last week that I am making Chief Petty Officer, I'm making E7, so I'm above the cut for that. So early at the beginning of 2019, I'll be advancing to E7, and and I'll be given the list of what's available, and we'll go from there. So things are very exciting, and we really appreciate, again, the opportunity to be here. On the Sea Otter side of the house, Sea Otter's still going strong. She's very busy on the maritime border. For those of you that don't know much about the cutter Sea Otter, she's an 87-foot patrol boat. She was commissioned in 2005, and we have a crew of 12. So it's one of the few units in the Coast Guard that has a full enlisted command for a command structure. So the commanding officer, or we call him enlisted, the officer in charge, is an E8, a senior chief petty officer, a bosun mate. He's a commanding officer. I'm the executive officer as a BM1, bosun mate first class, and then our EO, our engineer officer, is a chief MK, chief mechanic on the cutter. We have one cook, and then we have just a complement of other petty officers and junior personnel that help operate that ship for a lot of hours on the maritime border there in Southern California. There's 3 other 87s, so between the 3 of us, there's always one of us out there protecting the port and protecting the maritime boundary line. So, Senior Chief, for those of you who have met Senior Chief Eaton, the officer in charge, he's been in 25 years now. He's getting ready to retire next summer. He's going to move on to other things. I'll be leaving next year as well, so there'll be a whole nother new command structure from this time next year on the Sea Otter that hopefully we can introduce you to around that time, and we can all get to know each other from there. So pass this great tradition along of being able to come out here and see all of you. So that's really all I have. Does anyone have any questions?
I always like to look at a person's uniform